Hey everybody, how's it going today? Hey, so it's another week, it's another time in furry news. What are we going to talk about this week in furry news? No! No, why? Why? Dude, didn't this guy say the fandom was dead or something? I mean, now he's back again. Okay. So, I'm not going to go on a rant this time. I'm not going to go on a ramble. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as an opportunity in order to teach people how to dissect information on the internet. How to digest it, how to engage in it, and how to be better at sort of understanding things and trying to come to actually analyzing things beyond emotion. And it can get hard sometimes, especially when people are making emotionally charged statements out there that are just completely ingrained in ignorance. But today, we're going to take a step back and we're going to do this. So, to start off, I guess we're going to talk about this particular tweet, which is kind of what started this whole thing. This is sort of to give you a little bit of a background. So, Two's hyper-pacifism came under fire again, as he basically tried to retcon the 1940s and say, well, maybe if people were nicer to the Nazis would. Maybe if the Nazis were nicer, people were nicer to the Nazis, they wouldn't have invaded Poland, and the social-political thing of World War II would have never happened, and blah blah blah. So, ignorant statements about ignorance of a time, and sort of poo-pooing people in the past for the behaviors that they had committed, and that everybody who hates and commits violence against one another is equally at fault, and all that other, pacifistic, hyper-pacifistic stuff. So a lot of people obviously gave him critiques about this particular sort of position and said, hate groups are an actual problem. People, not everyone's anti-violence, and if you're anti-violence against people who are pro-violence, then it'll just give them a vacuum in which to commit more violence. And people made debates like that and back and forth and blah blah blah. But it all came down, so this is the one we're going to talk about today, and one we're going to analyze. So, Two's position, in order to talk about hate groups and stuff like that and the problems in which they did in response to somebody else's position, said, well, the Southern Poverty Law Center tallied that 1,064 incidents of hate crime occurred in 2017, relatively few, ending in death. 3,500 people, on average, are killed every year in swimming pools. Swimming pools are a larger threat than racists. Why aren't you going after them? So let's start with the question, because the question is the thing he wants you to focus on. So let's take that bite. I'll take that bite for just sanity's sake. He wants you to answer the question because it's the thing he wants you to focus on. He said, I made a factual statement. Now answer my question based upon it, right? That's what he's saying here. So we're going to go into the two parts. Number one, I'm going to answer the question. Because human beings are concurrent animals. We can solve problems concurrently. We don't have to solve one problem in order to solve another problem. In other words, we can solve the swimming pool problem at the same time we're solving basically the hate crime problem. We don't have to solve one to solve the other. Human beings can do that. We can delegate different tasks to different people. As a sort of aside here, Two also sort of did this question along the lines of opioid epidemics and how many people died from that, and why are people being more angry at that than hate groups? Because people are trying to solve the opioid epidemic at the same time they're trying to solve the hate crime epidemic, hate crime issue, right? So that is the answer to that question, because human beings aren't linear beings. Because a little bit, right now, I'm breathing. At the same time I'm moving my arms. At the same time that I'm talking. At the same time that I'm adjusting the glasses on my face. I can do multiple things at the same time. As an individual, I can do that, right? I don't have to focus on my breathing and only my breathing, because if I had to focus on my breathing and only my breathing, I'd really be like, you know what I mean? You don't have to, unless you're a vegetable, you don't have to freaking do that. People have concurrent brains. They can solve multiple problems at the same time. Like they can analyze one little tweet and make a whole freaking 30-minute video on it, analyzing all the little different bits and pieces. I have no life. Exactly. So, since you want me to focus on one problem at this, I'll focus on this tweet for the majority of this video. Thank you. Anyways, so that's the answer to the question, but the question is making the assumption that the facts stated before are accurate. So, what I did, instead of responding to this tweet and making that statement or whatever, I instead looked up to see if the statement made is actually factual. Imagine that. You throw up, and by the way, this is the best kind of thing to do it to because he's throwing out numbers. Numbers are the easiest thing to fact check because they have statistics, and those statistics you can go looking up for it. In fact, it only took me a total of 10 minutes on Google to find both statistics and to read articles revolving around them and to realize that, no, this is not correct in the way that it's being presented. And today, we're going to go over why. Let's go over the easy statement easy statement first, which is the second statement he makes, which is the deaths of 3,500 people in swimming pools per year. And lo and behold, I did find a website which talked about swimming pool safety, which discussed how many people died in swimming pool accidents per year. And yes, it was about from the year 2006 to 2014, they said about 3,500 people annually. It was a more specific number than 3,500, but it's within the realm of possibility. I will make that Exhibit A in the description below, and you can read the link for yourself. And it is, but the more importantly, what is the measurement talking about? 3,500 people where, when, how, why? What is the information behind the statistic? So it is U.S. annual statistic. It is a the entire United States annual statistic. Okay? That's where the number 3,500 comes from. He is comparing that number to a 1,064. It took me a little longer to find this number. I tried to go to the Southern Poverty Law Center website to see if I could find this number directly. I could not. So instead I had to Google hate crime statistics 2017 or something along those lines. And only the second article within that particular research results gave me the number that he presented here. But this is a big but. All right? The number 1,064 does come from the Southern Poverty Law Center. It does come from that group that he claims it came from. However, the amount of coverage that number goes over is in fact not equivalent to the amount of coverage that comes in for the swimming pool thing, okay? So what is that number actually covering? It's only covering particular major metropolitan areas in which the Southern Poverty Law Center covers in that particular yearly statistic. In plain English, please, Roo. Okay. Well, it comes from an article which I will put in Exhibit B. And this particular chart was on the website highlighting that particular statistic. As you can see, only particular major metropolitan areas are covered in this statistic. Let's see what we can read through them with my fursuit, which is going to be difficult. New York, New York, Los Angeles, California. Let me lean in here. Ugh, I'm an old man, I can't read. Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Seattle, Washington, Washington, D.C., and Cincinnati, Ohio. Those are the only cities covered by that 1,064 statistic. It is not the entire continental United States, and even worse, it's not even every major metropolitan area. It's only like one of the largest cities per each of these states. There's no San Francisco. There's no Dallas, Texas. There's no Buffalo, New York. There is no, even some of the smaller states. There's no Kansas City, Kansas. Or is it Kansas City? Is Kansas City not in Kansas? I don't know. I'm not a geographic expert. What I do know is that not every major metropolitan area is even represented here. So, you're asking yourselves, what is the actual statistic for hate crime incidences in 2017? Well, I have a problem for you. It's not available yet. According to that same article that I exhibited in Exhibit B, statistics for hate crime incidences only come out once every other year. Or so basically there's a year lag. Basically, the 2017 hate crime incident statistics will not be released until the beginning of 2019. We have 2016's numbers, however. So how many hate crime incidences were there in the continental United States? And by the way, that particular statistic doesn't come from the Southern Poverty Law Center. That comes from the actual Federal Bureau of Investigations. All right? The FBI compiles a number of this statistic and presents it at the end of the year following the year that it came out, because they have to compile the information. Takes a while, all right? Paperwork, crap like that. So what was their the 2016 numbers? From my recollection, it was about 6,200-ish. It was in the low 6,000 ranges. That was the amount of statistics. So when we go back to the original quote in which Mr. Gryphon was making here about the number of incidences being 1,064, it was actually just for major metropolitan areas only covered by the freaking Southern Law Center. Whereas the number of pool incidences covers the entire continental United States. The only way to make this thing match up to each other is either have both numbers cover the entire continental United States, which in this case would be 6,200-ish in the year 2016, compared to the 3,000 incidences of the pool thing here. So, no, you're factually incorrect. So why should I bother answering your question? Here's the thing, too. It's okay to get involved in politics. It's okay to get involved in comedy. But unless you have a foundation of truth in which you're speaking from, your comedy and your politics will fall flat. Period. End of story. It doesn't matter what rhetorical questions you ask at the end of your bullet point if that bullet point is inaccurate. So my question here is since you didn't offer a reference for your statement, I have to assume that you are the one making this statement. If you are, you're misleading your audience, which is heinous. Because the actual number should be 6,100-ish to 3,500. If you're talking about hate crime statistics. So yes, hate crime incidences occur more often than swimming pool drownings. All right? And even worse is that if you read the entire article in Exhibit B, hate crime is a very particularly hard thing to get good statistics on. Because imagine that, motive is a hard thing to get a good grasp on. It's hard to get a good motive grasp on why someone committed a crime. It would be more like, it's like, why did that person end up drowning in a swimming pool? Did they dive in the shallow end of the? Did they dive like they were in the? Did they dive like they were in the deep end of the pool when they were actually in the shallow end? Which, by the way, happens on Twitter sometimes too. All right, some people dive in thinking they're in the deep end, but they're actually in the shallow end of the pool. Just saying. But was it a kid who stumbled in and drowned? Was it somebody who was not good at swimming? What was the reason for their drowning? It's easy to go, hey, look, this is the amount of people that drowned. Hey, it's easy to actually go, hey, this is the amount of people who were murdered this year. But the reason why they were murdered is a little bit trickier to get a good grasp on. Making it even worse is the motive behind, hate crime as a crime is sort of like a tack-on sentence from my understanding. And this sort of goes into conjecture about law from my understanding of it from what I've heard and seen. Don't take this too literally. I might be incorrect, and I'll put an asterisk here on that. But when it comes to hate crime, from my understanding, it is a sort of a concurrent charge that goes on top of something else. Like, you assaulted somebody, but it was because of the color of the skin, therefore we're tacking on a hate crime thing for it. Or you murdered somebody and it was for, their religion, so we're going to tack on a hate crime charge. Now, that hate crime charge adds more years to your sentence, basically. And so it can be used as a bargaining chip by the prosecutor to go, if you say guilty to murdering that person and you just come out and confess the murder you did to it, we'll let go of the hate crime charge. Like, to save us time and money going through the court system, just say you're guilty of the murder and your hate crime motive, the hate crime part, we'll just let it go. And that'll be the bargain that we're going to get. So basically, that one doesn't get recorded as a hate crime because the person who might have killed because of the color of someone's skin or something else could have basically said, well, yeah, I'll just plead guilty to the crime and not serve the additional hate crime thing, which you guys will tack on if I fight this in court, right? That can happen. As I said, I'm not a law expert, so take that part with a grain of salt. Boozy, if I say it wrong, slap me inside the face with a big old trout, all right? So, anyways, there's also the other issue when it comes to hate crime statistics, and that is the people who are, charging for the crime have to see it as a hate crime. One of the bits of that article, still the same article, Exhibit B, covers this topic and says that there was a civil or human rights organization which found it concerning that in 2017 there was an increase in transgender hate crimes against transgender people. In it, they note that there were a total of they recorded 28 hate crimes against transgender people. And actually, these were actual murders, not just like, oh, these were just incidences. These were actual murders. They said, well, there were 28 individuals who were transgender who were murdered, all right? Only one of the 28 was officially recorded as a hate crime. You see what I'm saying here, too? It's a little messier to talk about motive and figure out statistics behind motive because there's things that are officially recorded and there's the actual facts of the situation. And that gets a little messier than like going, oh, that person's face down in a pool. That person drowned in a pool. Hey, we could just put that on the tally board. Yeah, there we go. Simple, easy. Then you see, well, this person was murdered. All right, was it because of a hate crime? Well, did they have money? Did they get robbed? What was the motive? I don't know. I'll have to talk to the person that committed the crime. What about you, person that committed the crime? Well, it certainly wasn't a hate crime. I don't want to get charged more than I charged for more than just the murder. You know what I mean? It gets a little messier. So this statement here about this whole thing, it's just falls flat on its face. And by the way, this whole positioning that he put on hate groups and trying to be kumbaya, everyone be nice to each other and everybody will get along just fine, came from a position of wanting to debate. Like at the beginning of the week, I believe he wanted to go and debate somebody about things. And people have asked me on this channel, it's like, why don't you have him on and debate him on things? And the issue is that you need to have a foundation or a position you're coming from before you can debate somebody. And I'm going to show you a clip right now of something he did this week that shows my position here. All right? This are 5 tweets by To the Ranty Gryphon just within this past week about his little political positioning. He calls himself a Justice Democrat who believes in single-payer healthcare plan and getting out of wars. He calls himself a Libertarian that believes in universal health care for some reason. Libertarians would actually be, if we're talking about the healthcare issue, Libertarians would probably more be along the lines of, hey, all these hospitals have these secret little charge books they have in the back room that tell people what they should charge for each individual product. Make that public knowledge and let the individuals of this country who are really adamant about saving people money on healthcare costs go through with a fine-tooth comb on all these freaking Chargemaster books. By the way, Chargemaster books can be found in an upper video here. I'll point a card to on Adam Ruins Everything. Libertarians would be more for making that transparent and letting people kind of show, hey, this hospital's really overcharging and this hospital's that. Single-payer healthcare kind of does the same thing, but I'm kind of getting off topic. But unfortunately, that puts all the reliance on the government to make sure that the hospitals are putting the fair charge. And governments can get easily overburdened with a lot of work, and so they might miss some things, and people can, sneak through things when things get missed. Whereas if everything was open and transparent, or a libertarian would believe everything was open and transparent, each individual can go, what the hell is going on here? As opposed to relying on the government to do it for them. All right? So, also, he is the left, but he's also a centralist. And, he's just anti-idiot. By the way, the people on the alt-right and alt-furry really like this guy, or at least pretend to like him, because they know he had a lot of influence and power in the fandom. So he's kind of like, he could kind of be their spokesperson for the fandom if they manipulate him to do it enough. But it's moments like this that it kind of shows that Two really doesn't want to have anything to do with the alt-right in the furry fandom, even though they're big fans of his. Because it's like he says he's anti-idiot, and the only thing he listed that he isn't is alt-right. So if people in the alt-right, if you guys think this guy is your friend, with friends like this, why do you need enemies? Like, he literally is not saying anything, like, he never calls himself a member of your ideology and says he's anti-idiot. So that must mean that he thinks you guys are idiots. I'm just saying, that just seems to be what's implied here. He's also apparently anti-science and anti-statistics, since he's, throwing around statistics that he has no idea what he's talking about. Which is interesting, since one of his friends is a very adamant scientist. Or at least one person who, I don't know if he is his friend still, I have no idea. But you do Kagi proud by throwing around statistics that are actually factually inaccurate. But anyways, what I'm trying to say too is that you're literally, like, I would debate you, but you're doing a great job of debating yourself. You know what I mean? It's similarly to, like, probably a terrorist looking at the United States right now. They're going, we should attack America. But then they look at, like, what happened in Florida this week, and they go, maybe, just maybe, America is better at attacking themselves than we will ever be at attacking them. It's sad, but it's sort of true. It's literally like the shadow of the hedgehog. Oops. You're literally the shadow of the hedgehog when it comes to politics. And it's like when you talk about your political foundations and your beliefs. To me, what it looks like is that you're shadow of the hedgehog. I'm a libertarian who believes in universal health care. This is who I am. I'm a comedian who believes that politics is the best thing that a comedian can cover. But also I'm a furry that believes that politics should have no place in the furry fandom. This is who I am. I'm a left, but I'm also a centralist. This is who I am. I believe that the Brodies are furrier than Chewbacca's nutsack, but also that the Brodies coming into the fandom was one of the beginnings of the end of the furry fandom. Card up in the left corner here. This is who I am. If you don't know who you are, then how can you lead others to becoming who they are? You need to find yourself before you can tell others how to live their life, before you can tell others who they are, or what they are, or what they believe in. You need to find yourself. And no debate that I give you, or no human interaction that is given to you between one or the other, is going to help you in that regard. Because you'll make it just about the debate. You want a debate. You're thirsty for a debate. You're so thirsty for a debate, you're literally debating yourself. You realize this. You want somebody to give you guidance. You want somebody to debate you. But you're so busy attacking yourself that there's nothing else that I can do or anyone else in this fandom can do. All they can do is provide you from a distraction from your problems. And it's not our job to solve your problems. It is not the community's job to solve the problems of the individual. If you are a libertarian, you should understand this. And to bring a big end to this whole charade, let's go back to the original statement here that started this whole thing. You need to look into the quotes that you were putting on Twitter to make sure that they are factually accurate before you make the rest of the furry fandom dumber. I'm just saying, if your job as a person is to make the furry fandom a better place and a better place of understanding, putting up false statistics, either that you created or you parroted, like the good birdie you are, onto Twitter, is not helping the furry fandom. It's only helping yourself present an argument that is not your argument to make. It is of the greatest ironies that you constantly put up arguments to defend individuals within hate groups when you say you are anti-hate. If you are anti-hate, you should not be defending individuals within hate groups. You should not be defending the actions of people in hate groups. It is okay to forgive individuals who went down the wrong path. It is okay to show them love and compassion. But they must earn their respect and they must turn away from their own hate before you can show them true love. And that's all I'm going to cover on today. I'm going to get the hop out of here. Anyways, I'm going to get the hop out of here. You might have noticed the rare jump cut. This is because I kept on turning on and off cards and I couldn't get it right. I'm transparent about that. I just ending it on a great note, right? They do it live, but I did edit a little bit, so I did cheat. Shh. Anyways, I'm going to get the hop out of here. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you learned something today. Hopefully, when you are engaging with people on the internet, you learned something about how to look into fact-checking individuals and understanding that fact-checking is important, and it can make for a better community and understanding more about the world around you, even if the catalyst is ignorance. Sometimes ignorance is a good catalyst for intelligence as long as you allow it to be. I'm going to get the hop out of here. Thank you very much for watching. And by the way, I'm losing my YouTube partnership come February 20th, so you can enjoy ad-free future episodes of this. And you can even watch the old ones for ad-free for all I care. So thank you very much for watching. I should really start a Patreon. Actually, I can't even, well, I can start a Patreon, I guess, but that's too much work. Nah, I should probably do it. Anyways, I'm gonna, I guess, kick a comment in the comment section. Should I start a Patreon or not? If so, would you throw money at it? I guess. I guess I should just try the warm waters there. I have ideas on how to go about doing that, but anyways, I'm gonna get the hop out of here. Kick that like, kick the subscribe button, kick a comment in the comment section. I'm going to get the hop out of here. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again next week on Rooview. See you later.